Gilgaboo, Gilgaboo, Gilgaboo.
Gilgaboo the Jeru, as Falcheru, gus Gullas Gaccan.
Gullas Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
And that was the Cranberries with Dreams. Starting off Gullas Gaccan in a good and exciting sort of a way. Well, throughout the programme, we're going to catch up with an interview that I did with Urtzi. I can't pronounce, I'm ashamed to say I can't pronounce his second name. He is from the Basque country, and he was over on the Isle of Man because he actually rather likes what we do here. He's a language activist himself. He's keen on promoting minority languages, and he thinks what we're doing here in the Isle of Man is really rather good. So let's hear the first part of the interview.
So my name is Urtzi Urrutikoetxea. I am Basque. I come from the Basque country. I've been working for some 25 years as a writer, as a journalist, and also some part in academia or teaching and researching about our own language and supporting and promoting, also as an activist. And at the same time, looking a little bit other languages both around us and a little bit farther away around the world.
And I'm imagining that the Basque language is doing a lot better than the Manx language at the moment.
Well, depending where you start looking at this, I think, and from like being able, and of course, talking with a large kind of ignorance of what's happening here, you know better than me about the situation, but I think you've worked pretty well, taking account where the language was. And yes, perhaps, we looking from outside very often, it's seen that one of the, let's say, success models of what we've been doing. We're proud of it, how not? But at the same time, whenever you reach a new a new moment or something, a really new something new, you realize of the new challenges you have, and how at the same time it's not everywhere the same. We have a part under Spain, the other part of the Basque country is ruled by France or under France, and situations change depending where you live or where you are.
Because France is not known for encouraging other languages than French in the French state.
Exactly. The French Constitution actually it is something, let's say, pretty new. It's not something that was always like that. They changed the Constitution in 1992, I think, theoretically to protect French from the English strength. But what they did was to nominate French as the only language of the Republic, and that means no other language can be official, even in a nominal or symbolic way. The only official language is French, so you have to find ways to do things. What I'm really proud is that the Basque in the French part, for many years they were looking to see what we did in the other part, in the Spanish part. In the last 10, 15, 20 years, they tried to do it their own way, and they're doing pretty well, to tell you the truth.
Good.
In the situation there, yeah.
And the difference between a Basque speaker in France and a Basque speaker in Spain, what kind of differences are there in terms of accent? I mean, is there a clear difference there? Or?
Historically and linguistically, the difference wasn't north to south,
right,
but east to west. So people living in the east, both sides of the Pyrenees, so in the Spanish or the French part, they speak pretty much the same or very similar dialects, and they could understand each other. There was historically a lot of smuggling because that border was sort of unofficial. So depending what was lacking in one part, the other part would provide, and what we used to call the night work.
Yes.
So that was quite often until very recently, and perhaps nowadays the difference between the states it's more stress, and the French part they got this very strong, the young generation. Well, you talk to the older people and they have, like we do in the South, strong R, so that has been changing. I guess there is also an influence of the vocabulary from both parts, from Spanish and French. But again, the usual division was east to west. So I come from the west, from the city of Bilbao, and our dialect was very, very different from the ones in the east, while those living in the Navarre or the French provinces.
Local news, island voices, real conversations. This is Manx Radio.
that was Aldapan Gora, Up the Hill by Huntsa, or Ivy, which is a Basque piece of music, which seems an appropriate way to introduce the second part of the interview with Urtzi from the Basque country. Tell us about the success of the Basque language, because it has been really successful, the way in which you've taken the language and made it into what it is today.
Well, this is somehow what we try to show as one of the good things we've been able to do with. So as you probably know, Spain suffered dictatorship for many decades until the dictator died in 1975. And one of the main goals of that dictatorship was to erase all the other languages other than Spanish. So at the same time, this created that the repression being so hard, the reaction was also quite active. While perhaps France was smarter in that sense of using more shame rather than other punishments. So, and in this sense, yes, the in the late 50s, in the 60s, even in the 40s, in the hardest of the dictatorship, there were people working for the language when practically nothing could be done. You risked being arrested and even worse things. We were able to organize around, let's say, clandestine, illegal schools. That was perhaps the good thing that the dictatorship had. It was very corrupt. So in a sense, some parents were able to gather and of course they trusted each other. It was very secretive things, but at the same time they started to have schools. Sometimes they would hire a young woman from a Basque-speaking village who had come to town or a bigger town or cities, and she would teach them and those children in Basque. They realized the language was being lost, especially in those areas, in towns and cities. And that's how they started. They didn't have even books. It was just copies. When the inspector came, they would take the official fascist books and documents, and when he left, they would again start with education in Basque. And by the time the dictatorship realized of what was going on, those schools were spread in so many places that they couldn't silence them. And when he died, well, I guess it all blossomed. There was also sort of the weight of being against the dictatorship was also to learn the language, to use the language, to work for the language. So yeah, in that sense, I guess we that comment had the effect. We were able to standardize our language because we had so many dialects in '68. It was still the dictator was alive. And all that somehow helped to have a media in Basque, to have a schooling in Basque, administration, and all these things. But at the same time, and acknowledging the success, we realized that we can't live from all those good things we did 40 years ago. That situation has changed, and there are new challenges from that right now. And perhaps even the narratives we used back then of being an oppressed language, or being an old language, maybe successful up to extent to the new generation. They are looking for something else. So we are trying to see what else we can do. And we realize that other communities with important success, like perhaps the Catalans or the Welsh, also are facing these challenges.
Gaelg Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Not just broadcasting to the Isle of Man, broadcasting for it. Manx Radio.
Well, I hope you're enjoying the interview with Urtzi from the Basque country. I've certainly enjoyed speaking to him over the course of the few days he was in the Isle of Man. And certainly the interview, I found a very interesting listen. We'll hear a lot more of that as the programme goes on. And yes, I hope you're managing to tune your ear into his slightly exotic accent.
steps made of stone. Walking feels familiar. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around underground, pick a part that's new. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around, upside down, pick a part that's new. People are drinking on their own, push buttons on the phone. Was I here once before? Is that my voice on the phone? At last drink on my own. Did I ever leave it all? It feels unfamiliar. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around underground, pick a part that's new. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around, upside down, pick a part that's new. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around underground, pick a part that's new. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around, upside down, anything that's new. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around underground, pick a part that's new. You can do all the things that you like to do, all around, upside down, pick a part that's new. So what's new to you? What's new to you? What's new to you?
That was the Stereophonics with Pick a Part That's New. And I'm going to pick a part that's new of the interview that I did with Urtzi from the Basque country. So that's next. So let's move on to those challenges then. What is the big challenge now facing the languages spoken by minorities around the world? What are those issues that they're struggling with?
Well, I guess, of course, it changes depending on who you are talking to. We realize that many languages, especially in the global south, they have suffered this kind of subtle repression for histories, for ages. They've learned that the language isn't useful for anything, that they should shift to the big dominant language, be it Spanish, French, English. And so this stigma is very much within them. So first is changing this mentality. And perhaps I want to think that even here on the Isle of Man, this is something of the past, that somehow you've been able to move on from that. But many people, they're still there. And this is something you have to overcome. And in the project we've been working on, we realized in these last 10 years how you would met people 10 years ago who didn't accept that they speak, for instance, the Nasayu language in Colombia, in the Cauca Valley. 10 years later, nowadays, they all are proud of it. So this is, I guess, the first change is that the people in the community themselves get this pride of speaking this language. Then I think it's very simple mathematics. I mean, 2 is the double of 1. So if you're bilingual, you know one language more from the monolingual. And unfortunately, very often the monolinguals imposes their worldviews, and they feel uncomfortable when they hear some other languages as if they were attacking them. And since I speak 2 languages or 3, well, yeah, I can stick from one to the other. it doesn't have anything to do with you. It's just how I when I'm with my family, with the people I love, I speak our language. And
Gaelg Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
And yes, that is our signal for you to drag your tables and chairs back and have a little jig about the kitchen table. And I thought we'd have a little jig about the kitchen table to Mactulloch Vannon this week. And this is, hopefully, Ionasach Vona. And there we are, Mactulloch Vannon there with Ionasach Vona. And yes, they probably still are my favourite traditional Manx music band. I do like, what are they called? Clash Fua. I think they're excellent, but they're perhaps less traditional, but more, certainly lots of really good Manx language, Manx songs there from Clash Fua. But yeah, Mactulloch Vannon, rather good, I think. And of course, last week we heard from Ruth about the launch of a book, Jeelane Tootagh, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and it's it seems appropriate to me. I mean, we can't speak to the author. Well, maybe we could have spoken to the author, but we certainly can speak to the person who translated this book, and of course the earlier book as well, because there's two in the series now available in Manx. And of course that is Adrian Kane, who I caught up with about a week or so ago. So let's hear the interview I did with Adrian. Talking to Adrian Kane, and whilst you're not the author of Jeelane Tootagh Roderick Aboo, you have translated it into Manx.
Yes, this is the second in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. So Jeff Kinney. So I mean, if you got kids, teenagers, they're brilliant. Really funny. Based in sort of American family, high school, and all that sort of stuff. Really. So yeah, I translated the other one a few years ago. The first one in the series. So Roderick Aboo is the second one, just been published by Culture Vannin. So I look forward to reading it again. Really getting familiar with the with Greg and his family.
And why is it important to have books like this? Because you'd think that textbooks about history and geography and all these sorts of things are important, but this is kind of well, I don't know, it's just entertainment.
Well, there you go. You've had, we wouldn't mind. It would be quite handy to have books about, Manx history and geography. And something I'd like to work on really at a level appropriate for, say, kids at the Bunscoll. These are really funny, to be brutally honest. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. But I mean, okay, so ostensibly it's for children, I suppose in my class at year 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6, and hopefully older children who can speak Manx as well. But one thing I think is good, it's not, and from, if you're a learner of Manx and you speak quite good Manx, understand it quite well, I think maybe a paucity of stuff which is, at a certain level and is entertaining. So to be honest, if you're into your Manx, as an adult, these are worth reading because they are quite witty. Hopefully the way I translated it is not, excessively difficult. You need to know your Manx for sure. And they're also quite good, I think, because it's written in a diary sort of form. They're quite good at sort of colloquial sort of language, really, and that's what Greg uses in the diary. It's not excessively, difficult in a way. It's just colloquial, usable language, and hopefully the Manx is the same in there. So they'd use the conditional quite a bit. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it be wonderful? All stuff like that, which sometimes it's quite difficult to learn in a sort of class environment, but we can pick it up in these sort of books, I think.
And of course the thing with a book that's entertaining and fun is that I imagine your students are much more likely to want to read it than a dry text about the religious development of the 13th century. Yes, no surprise there, eh? I mean, most of the Perchin here will have, those who are keen will have read it in English, but they're keen to, they like these books, and the pictures are brilliant in them. So they're quite, because they sort of understand the story, they're able to pick up the stuff in Manx quite quickly, because they know the story quite well in a way. So going from, a lot of them, not all of them will have read it in English. So they're fairly familiar, and they're familiar with the characters, the sort of stories, and that familiarity, I think, does help them, picking, reading it in Manx as well. It's not totally new to them in some shape or form. It might be new to an adult who isn't familiar with these sort of stories, unless you've got children and the like. But as I say, hopefully for adults as well, the scale is the story is interesting, but also it's written in a way which isn't excessively complex. two for the price of one this week on this hour at least of Gullas Gaccan. That was The Ram by MacLear. And I just thought, yes, let's slash another really good Manx track in because we can. Well, back to the interview with Urtzi, the language activist from the Basque country who visited the Isle of Man recently. And it does seem to be quite a mystery, doesn't it, to people who only speak one language, that other people in the world can speak more than one language. It seems to be quite a remarkable thing. And how on earth do they manage? How do they not get confused between the two languages, and or three or four languages in many cases?
And that used to be the most common thing. If you go to many places in Africa, you have one language, perhaps for your community, but perhaps with the neighboring community or for trade, you have a different one. And that's been quite common. I mean, being bilingual, trilingual, or speaking several languages, or at least being the necessity to live through all these languages during the day. Of course, you would have your first language, the one you will master, the one you will have in your own community. But then you will know more, for better or worse. You have some knowledge of other languages as well. It's useful, and this is something that's been, I guess, quite common in history. Like being monolingual and thinking the whole world has to change to what you do and the way you speak. Well, it hasn't been like that for historically. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see how some people feel, in a sense, like attacked. And then, for instance, I've been living in America, and I realized that you had students who were monolingual, but just 1-2 generations before them, they had parents who would speak, I don't know, Yiddish, German, and so many other languages, or even Irish, or I guess Manx, who moved there. So somehow, of being a plurilingual and speaking many languages, you're down to being a single lingual. Well, the future should be the opposite. The new generations are speaking more languages and being, I don't know, to say smarter, but
And why should that be? Because people make conscious decisions to shift in terms of their languages, and probably the main reason why Manx has become a much lesser spoken language here in the Isle of Man is because it made sense for people to speak English, and it didn't make a lot of economic sense, at least, for them to speak Manx. So why should people actually now reverse the thinking of their grandparents and great-grandparents in terms of the Isle of Man, and possibly even parents in other parts of the world? Why should they change that thinking?
Well, I guess that there are several reasons for that. No one denies the importance of speaking English or speaking Spanish. Yeah, it's a very useful language, but let's say everyone does it. So this is somehow and while Manx, you can only do it here, or people from here. And Basque, we do it in the Basque country. So this is very much something that identifies you, that somehow attaches you to the land. And so I guess that's first. And at the same time, having your own language, you understand much better. For instance, the places you are, all the place names where. At the same time, I guess there is to realize that the reason why that language is not spoken anymore or that much, it isn't, let's say, a natural thing as a weather phenomenon that now it's raining and then it's sunny. No, there's been policies to implement that. And of course, at some point, people believe that. They assume that's the reality, and that there is no possibility to live with two languages, to have one language for your own nation, for your own community, while you have a bigger one for whatever other reasons you have. And we realize that's not true. And besides, I mean, especially now in Europe, it is quite common to say, no, the future is plurilingual. We have to learn the neighbors' languages. Okay, but then you should start with our own language. And I'm not saying that we have to be all the time looking to the past and what happened, but at the same time we should acknowledge there were some wrongs that were done, and people suffered because of that, and these wrongs, I don't know, they should be addressed, and as possible, there should be a healing to that.
Gaelg Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
So we'll hear a lot more from that interview that I did with Urtzi from the Basque country in the second hour of the programme. And I hope you're enjoying the interview. I know it's sometimes a little difficult just to tune your ear in, but once you've tuned your ear into his accent, I think it's well worth a listen, and fascinating to find out how languages around Europe are being protected and promoted. And yes, it's a very interesting. Well, I think it's a very interesting interview. I hope you do too. So we're almost at the. Well, we're not really almost at the end of the first hour, but by the time we've played the next two pieces of music, we'll be getting pretty close to that. We've got Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon, and then Uisig Vara by Ruth Kegan. Yes, that's three Manx tracks in the first hour. By golly, I'm treating you today, aren't I? Yes, indeed.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. Baby, you're the best. I wasn't looking, but somehow you found me. I tried to hide from your love, but like heaven above me, the spy who loved me is keeping all my secrets safe tonight. And nobody does it better. Though sometimes I wish someone could. Nobody does it quite the way you do. Why'd you have to be so good? The way that you hold me, whenever you hold me, there's some kind of magic inside you that keeps me from running, but just keep it coming. How'd you learn to do the things you do? And nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. Baby, baby, darling, you're the best. Baby, you're the best. Baby, you're the
Gaelg J as Gaelg Sarah.
A Gaelg, the Manx Gaelic, Jeelane Tootagh, the mother tongue of Mannin, the Isle of Man. Avashan Rish.
You can catch up with more of Manx Radio's Manx language programmes in the weekly podcast Abershen Rish. Say that again.
Avashan Rish.
Shene, that's the one.
Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelg Broadcasting Committee.
Take the National Express when your life's in a mess. It'll make you smile. provide you with drinks and theatrical winks for a sky-high fee. Mini skirts were in style when she danced down the aisle back in '63. But it's hard to get by when your arse is the size of a small country. And everybody sings. Yeah. All right. We're going where the air is tomorrow belongs to me.
When you're sad and feeling blue, with nothing better to do, don't just sit there feeling stressed. Take a trip.
The National Express. On the National Express. Let's go.
And that was the National Express by the Divine Comedy, opening up the second hour of Goll's Gaccan, and you're most welcome to the programme. Well, back to the interview I did with Urtzi from the Basque country, and yes, I'm fascinated to know what he's going to say next. Then if we move to talk about the advantages of being bilingual or multilingual, what are those advantages?
Well, English is my third language. So here I am talking to you in English because I was able to learn English, and Basque was my mother language thanks to my parents' decision back in the day. And perhaps if we had followed this linguistic Darwinism, I wouldn't be speaking. I come from Bilbao, which is the biggest city in the Basque country, and my mother wasn't speaking Basque back in the day. She would learn later. My dad's generation was also losing the language, but because they rebelled against that, they decided that they could pass this old language of our country, and I never had this idea that I didn't speak Spanish. I just grew up being bilingual. Then came English. The French border is very close from us, so I never spoke, and I still don't speak very good French, but I can manage. Well, I think whenever you can speak a language and you can connect to the people living in those places, this is much easier to have any access to relate to what they are having and everything. Yeah, so I think it's quite obvious. And besides, you should assume even you speak the biggest language, and nowadays it might be perhaps it's English or in some areas it could be French or Spanish. That with that language, even with that big language, you can't be everywhere speaking that. There will always be people who don't speak that language, and that's how things are. So it's normal, even with English or Spanish.
And the other thing, of course, we know is a lot of people do lots of research into these matters, and actually children being brought up with more than one language tend to do better at education because they have at least two, if they're bilingual, and maybe more if they're multilingual, ways of considering everything. So they've got 3 ways of writing because they've got all those different languages. They've got 2 or 3 ways of problem solving, and so on and so forth. That's
so obvious, and especially, for instance, when you, as a child, you have already 2 languages. The third or the fourth will become much easier. if you have only one worldview, any other worldviews are much harder to grasp, to understand. We Basques, for instance, in our language, we have 4 words for what in English is brother and sister. So the boy's brother and the boy's sister and the girl's brother and sister have different words. So as you can see, 2 for 2, it's 4. Well, this is something that perhaps if you learn your worldview is only, no, it's not possible. There's only 2 words. It's brother and sister. How can you have other words? How about the explanation? Well, we do. I mean, we're not better words for that. It's just the way we have, and I don't know why it is. There will be better linguists who will explain it. But at the same time, if I learn a language who have different words for the things that I only use one word for, well, it's okay. That's their language, and they have, as we perhaps the obvious example is what I think it's Samis or the Inuits have for snow, that they have so many words. Well, because this is what it's surrounding them, and maybe with the snow and 2-3 more words, it's enough for us, and they need more words. So what? This is, so I guess, yeah, it's being bilingual somehow expands your worldview and makes it easier also to approach to other languages and to see how in other places it's a different and nothing happens.
Race day, match day, every day. The island's home of sport.
I do think it's rather good hearing from Urtzi, and again, as I said earlier in the programme, I mean, he's come over to the Isle of Man because he likes what we're doing here. He's impressed with the way in which the Manx language is being developed in the Isle of Man. Well, another impressive thing is chasing aboo, at least in my opinion, and this is Éireanta, irony, and yes, I think it's a rather good piece of music.
They stay beneath the shadows, your way of life erodes. They send you to the gallows, all that remains is your soul. And it's hard to shake, it's a deep-rooted thing. We only express it when we dance or we sing. It's like a cursed generational thing. Togan changa, togan talab, disgrace and cult, disgrace na deni, calling their custards, all like the dust and those who oppose the cuss, even the horror. Togan changa, togan talab, disgrace and cult, disgrace na deni, calling their custards, all like the dust and those who oppose the cuss, even the horror. The door, to she hear it ha. 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 I know it's only a couple, guilty of all the bad deeds. Still it hits different when I see history unfold and repeat. It's hard to shake, it's a deep-rooted thing. We only express it when we dance or we sing. It's like a cursed generational thing. Toga changa, toga talab, disgrace and cult, disgrace na deni, calling their custards, all like the dust and those who oppose the cuss, even the horror. Toga changa, toga talab, disgrace and cult, disgrace na deni, calling their custards, all like the dust and those who oppose the cuss, even the horror. The door, to she hear it ha. The door, to she hear it ha. The door, to she hear it ha. The door, to she hear it ha.
Gaelg Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
And that was the Who with the great Genghis Khan. But yes, I enjoy that anyway. Next, we have a crazy little thing called Love by Queen.
When something happens on the island, we're already there. Manx Radio.
Shakes all over like a jellyfish. You gotta like it. Raise your little thing called love. There goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She drives me crazy. She gives me hot and cold fever. She leaves me in a cocoa sweat. I gotta be cool, relax, get in, get on my tracks, take a backseat, hitchhike, take a long ride on my motorbike until I'm ready. Raise a little bit of gotta be cool, relax, get in, get on my tracks, take a backseat, hitchhike, take a long ride on my motorbike until I'm ready, raise a little thing called love. This thing called love, I just can't handle it. This thing called love, I'm
Let's talk then about the organisation that you work for and what it does around the world.
Mm-hmm. So, Garavide is an organization that was formed some 20 years ago, and we've been working in the international arena for the last 15, 16 years. And it came from an assessment that nowadays we see that we have the International Year of Indigenous Languages in 2019. We're in the middle of a decade of the indigenous languages, but it wasn't like that for always. And very often, and it's understandable that most people working for the languages, they are looking to the language, and then they have enough work with that, and that's understandable. I mean, the main job should always be with your own language. But at the same time, we realized that if there was one thing that we did pretty well in our recent past, in the last decades, and we had a know-how. It was about how to revitalize the language. What we did, again with education, with language standardization, with media, grassroots movements, administration. So we realized that in many parts the loss of the languages was being accelerated. It's getting real fast, and there's this. Not everybody agrees, but some say that every 2 weeks a language is lost around the world. Be it like that, or be it every month. But it's not the case. So we realized that facing that, our experience may be useful for others. We don't pretend to tell others how to work with their languages, but we think that this experience can inspire or as we always say, well, whatever is useful for you, take it or change it or use it on your benefit. And if you see things that even they might not have worked so well for us, it's what we did. So we started connecting some indigenous communities, especially in Latin America, because of the Spanish language. Basically, it was easier for us, and we started with Mexico in the Yucatan Peninsula with the Mayas, or with some Maya communities as well in Guatemala, mainly the Chiaull, the Nasayue of Colombia, the Cauca Valley, the Mapuches mainly in Chile, but also some in Argentina, and others, the Quechuas both in Ecuador and Bolivia. And what we do and what we usually do is we invite some 15, 16 linguistic leaders to come to our country, spend some time with us. Recently, they've been course of 6 weeks. Before, they were even 3 months. And during these 6 weeks, we try to explain what we did, to visit places, to take to in different schools, in different parts, the French part, in the Spanish part, where in places where the language is very much alive, in places where you can't hear that much. So somehow to see what we've been doing, and at the same time, we ask them to develop their own projects for their own communities. Some may go with education, some may go with the radio, and then we try to support and to have follow up with all these projects. And yeah, we are happy that some of them have got some awards. The Lingua Pax Prize Lingua Pax was formed through UNESCO back in the day. Now I think it's independent. They're based in Barcelona. They awarded the NASA project in the Cauca Valley. The project in Yucatan has been also praised. So we realize that things are changing. People are doing things. Now they are calling all the times, and we're very happy for that. It's a Mije, it's an ethnicity of the Oaxaca province in Mexico. They are very adamant. They want to create their own immersion school, and they're really working for that. And I mean, it's great to see them, even if they're telling you, hey, what else should we do? Can you send someone here to give some examples and so on? So Juan Basque, not necessarily a member of our staff. We have the good thing, we have a lot of connections with many friends in the Basque Country who maybe know more than us in specific questions in the academia, or adults learning. So okay, we'll talk to that person, and then she will get in touch with you. And yeah, well, one person is going there to spend 1 week, 10 days, to see, well, this is how we did this. It is a cooperative model, for instance. Schools owned by parents, or I mean, it depends, depending on the situation. But this is somehow how we work, and what we've been doing all this, and what's been most known in the Basque Country.
So that was the 6th part, only another 2 parts of the interview to go with Urtzi from the Basque Country. And also, that was our hint that we're about to have a Manx track, and this is a much more sedate piece of music, Lemuel by the Mollig Band.
Gaelg Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelic Broadcasting Committee.
Mannin Sled in the fun the he can rem can mink girl and joy Tado das Katie Nacht Tado das Longroy Schida das fun the he Leg it down Gilmer and shit roll
The Mollig Band there with Lemuel. I think that was composed by the late, great Colin Jerry. Colin, who used to do all kinds of wondrous things for Manx music, not least making public, or making much more publicly available, at least, the collection of Manx tunes that was undertaken by Dr. Clegg. Well, back now to the interview that I undertook with Urtzi from the Basque country. I imagine all this costs money, so where do you get the money from to pay for this work?
Well, one of the hard things was when there's been always money for this support of North-South for organizations working in this field, in different fields, maybe environment or feminism or women's self-empowerment, and all these fields. And again, we realized that one of the issues that should be tackled was also the effect of language loss, of marginalization of communities, of people leaving people behind in when moving forward, of education. Of course, you don't want people to be illiterate, but at the same time, education shouldn't mean assimilation into the bigger language. So we realized that all this, and it wasn't easy. I mean, of course, people working in NGOs, they don't accept that the language is also plays a central role. It took us some time, but nowadays it's accepted, and so we have different agreements with the Basque government and some municipalities who also want to work with in this field. And yeah, that is somehow, after some years and proving it's serious and it has an impact in their communities. So that's how we did and how we were doing.
And I imagine it's probably not a bad thing for the Basque tourist industry to have guests from other parts of the world coming in to learn from your experience.
Well, I mean, some of these communities are unfortunately really impoverished. So it depends, yeah. But they some of them, they need all the support you can give.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess for some people it's great being there, but that is also some of the challenges that we realize, that we live in the global north. And some of the issues they face, while the language suffers for it, they have also so many other issues. So yeah, we have to be sometimes very, very careful with that. Not to show as well like flashing things that as if what we did was so successful. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, we were at 20% of speakers. We might be at 30, 35. Among the youth generation, it is true. We're approaching to universal knowledge. But still, I mean, we did some important steps, but everything is not solved. So, yeah, we also try to be careful and realize that their situation has also to do with the wrongs of the past, linguistically speaking, but also economically, of exploitation, of taking their resources and all these things. So in this sense, yeah, but yeah, perhaps in the future, and one of the goals that we do have is, because when we talk to the communities, they always say, okay, it's great to have this direct communication, but at the same time, when we've been in these courses, we met with other communities as well. So it's very important how they affect each other too. So they learn from each other. And we should have something more permanent. And this is what we are right now working. How to have something more permanent.
Almost finished now, the interview with Urtzi from the Basque country. Very interesting interview, I think it is too. Well, I wouldn't say this is entirely Basque, but there's a bit of a Spanish feel to Fernando by ABBA.
Can you hear the drums, Fernando? I remember long ago another starry night like this. In the firelight, Fernando, you were humming to yourself and softly strumming your guitar. I could hear the distant drums and sounds of bugle calls were coming from afar. They were close now, Fernando. Every hour, every minute seemed to last eternally. I was so afraid, Fernando. We were young and full of life and none of us prepared to die. And I'm not ashamed to say the roar of guns and cannons almost made me cry. There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright, Fernando. They were shining there for you and me, for liberty, Fernando. Though we never thought that we could lose, there's no regret. If I had to do the same again, I would, my friend Fernando. If I had to do the same again, I would, my friend Fernando. Now we're old and gray, Fernando. Since many years I haven't seen a rifle in your hand. Can you hear the drums, Fernando? Do you still recall the fateful night we crossed the Rio Grande? I can see it in your eyes, how proud you were to fight for freedom in this land. There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright, Fernando. They were shining there for you and me, for liberty, Fernando. Though we never thought that we could lose, there's no regret. If I had to do the same again, I would, my friend Fernando. There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright, Fernando. They were shining there for you and me, for liberty, Fernando. Though we never thought that we could lose, there's no regret. If I had to do the same again, I would, my friend Fernando. Yes, if I had to do the same again, I would, my friend Fernando.
And that was ABBA there with Fernando. And, well, I much as how it used to when I was a teenager, pain me to admit it, I think ABBA are rather good. Anyway, but the final part then of the interview that I did with Urtzi from the Basque country. And yes, let's have a listen to that now.
And this is what we are right now working, how to have something more permanent, both with the communities we've been historically working and others that can be interesting for them. Other communities that perhaps don't relate through the Spanish language, that may relate with through English or French in Africa. And it can be also important. And we realize that in this global view, it's not just us working towards this field. In Europe, there is this LN network and another one as well, who are somehow different communities coming together, different language organizations. Perhaps in North America, it's also in Canada and the United States. They come together as well often. And then can we do something in a more global sense, perhaps with different rhythms? We understand that not every community has the same rhythm. But anyway, to see how we can come together, learn from each other, share our narratives, what happened to us, why did it happen, is it similar to what happened to you, what challenges are you facing now, these kind of things. And at the same time, whenever something is something comes like, okay, look, sometimes you think you are alone in the world fighting or struggling or working for your own language, but look, there are so many of us doing similar things, so we can come together, say, look, whatever is happening in this country, and if, I don't know, if you are moving the support for this school, and I don't know, I'm just guessing, for the school in Brittany, you can tell the French authorities this is unacceptable, and this is not the way to do things. So I guess if we are together, we're stronger.
Yeah. Well, sadly, we don't have endless time on the programme, but we'll probably need to draw to a close now. But with that thought, I mean that there are many millions of people speaking lesser used languages across Europe. Do you know what the figure is?
Not really. The Catalans always speak only about their language, about 10 million. So starting from there, depending where you put the Kurdish as well, because it's Middle East, but there are also millions of speakers in some countries. I mean, there are millions, definitely millions, dozens of millions.
And if all those millions across Europe actually stuck together and decided if they had the money to go on holiday, they'll go to a minority language area to find out more about minority languages, then we would all be quids in, wouldn't we?
Absolutely, that would be great. And at the same time, wherever you go, at least have this view of, well, do they speak another? Can I learn a few words when I come here? So see, this is important, and it has an impact in the country. And when you talk to anyone,
well, it would be wrong for us not to share some language before you go. I mean, the obvious one that I could say at this stage is Goramayu, which is obviously thank you. How would I say that in Basque?
Goramayu is eskerrik asko.
Eskerrik asko.
Very good.
Eskerrik asko. Right, okay. What else could we say? I'm trying to think now without being too corny. Well, fastamai, good afternoon.
Arratsaldeon.
Let's
Arratsalde is afternoon. Arratsalde on.
Eratella on.
Eratella
on.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And goodbye, we would say, well, I'm not sure Manx people really did say goodbye to people, but you'd probably say something like Slenyat. Slenyat would be health with you, or some such thing, as you were saying goodbye to someone.
Well, we can have the the short way is agur, which comes from Latin auguri, so it's just goodbye. And we have perhaps a nicer one is ikusi arte, which is see you or until I see you again. So
himu is what we would say for that. So ikusi
it's see arte until we see each other again.
Ikusi
arte.
Yeah, ikusi arte. Well, ikusi arte.
Himu,
yendasa. Well, that's just about us for the Gullers Gaccan this week. That was the last part of the interview that I did with Urtzi from the Basque Country, and I hope you managed to follow what he was saying there. A very interesting person, no doubt about it, and I hope that we'll be able to welcome him back to the Isle of Man in the not too distant future. One person that we are definitely going to welcome in is the author, or is that the right word? The composer of this particular piece of music. And this is, the composer is Bob Carswell, and he's about to hit the airways with Gullers Gaccan. But before he does, we're going to listen to Irina Grania by braew.
Gullers Gaccan, brought to you by the Gaelg Broadcasting Committee.